Fetterman's recognized from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to thank my colleague from Connecticut for allowing to do this. Yes, hi. Banks seem to really, they love fees like that, right? I didn't. I think it's helpful if something happens to you to really understand what a lot of other American consumers face that kinds of a thing. I'd say about 18, well, probably a couple years ago, I was at a coffee place and I bought one. And then everything went through. I didn't think anything of it. And then I had a notice that I overdraft my account. So that was a $40 cup of coffee. And then I wasn't at Blue Bottle, but at any rate, so is it pretty it seems kind of crazy that you would allow your account to be charged for, $35 over a cup of coffee. And of course, I didn't really appreciate it. So in whose interest was that, would you think? And anyone, what do you thought about
it? So it's in the interest of institutions that want to pad their profits with huge exorbitant fees. I think we shouldn't forget that during the time when you were experiencing your not Blue Bottle coffee overdraft, that many institutions were using high to low check reordering to actually trigger additional overdrafts.
Yeah, well, and I that's what I thought, and then I called up my bank, and I'm like, well, hey, that's kind of crazy, and they're like, well, actually, sir, we allowed this transaction to occur, and you were able to get on with your day, and they actually they justify that by saying, well, that's a service that we provided that you were allowed to get your coffee and get on with your day, and then now it become very clear that these kinds of fees are a profit center. Is that accurate too?
Oh, absolutely. The data from call reports reveals that the amount of fees coming in off of transaction accounts, in some cases can be 20, 30, 40% equivalent to the net income of that financial institution. Those are almost overdraft stores.
Yeah. And it's pure profit too. I mean, it's no service, anything other than, it's just being nickeled and dimed. I personally don't enjoy that, being nickeled and dimed. Are any of you in the panel, do you enjoy being nickeled and dimed anywhere you go?
No, sir.
No? Anyone? So, but now what once was something that was a penalty now has become part of their mission, is like to that. And then this happened just last week in my apartment. The DC rental market is kind of rough, and I pay $2,000 a month for 500 squares. And then I left my key on the counter, and then I approached the front desk, and I'm like, could you please let me in so I can get my key? And they're like, well, absolutely. And then they pulled out a form that said, well, that's $50. I'm like, oh, no, I don't need a new key. Could you just let me in? And they're like, well, that doesn't matter. That's $50. And I'm like, $50 to let me in? And then I really couldn't believe that someone would charge $50 just to open up to just get your key. And would you agree that that's kind of a junk fee for housing rentals?
Well, yes, absolutely. That's a junk fee. I feel bad for the person at the desk who had to follow the corporate policy that requires them to charge that fee.
Well, yeah, sure it's not personal against the worker, but the fact that they institutionalized this idea that we're gonna be $50 for letting you to just get your key there, and that's just pure profit, and that becomes that too. And metaphorically, and I'm running out of time, but I think that's the same kind of in a government where you cannot count or create like parking tickets and speeding tickets as revenue. That should be about for public service or to protect a situation. And it's in my opinion, it's just gone crazy, And now when billions and billions of dollars now, those kinds of nickel and diming now is part of their business strategy. But thank you for joining me, and my time is off. So.
Thanks, Senator Fetterman. Senator Van Hollen of Maryland is recognized.